Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and now we ask respected Elder of Te Arawa, who is the youngest member chosen by Te Arawa on our Rotorua Lakes Council's Te Tatau Committee. Here, his father, who left us only 2 years ago, was one of the most senior members of our tribe. He's now representing us all. I introduce Te Mauri Kingi to mihi and welcome you all.
Hoi anō ko te wehi kia ihoa te tīmatanga o te whakaaro nui. Ko ia anō tō tātou tīmatanga, ko ia anō tō tātou whakaotinga, ka tika me whai wāhi ki aia. Aha koe hara ko te mate tātou tūtaki ai. E whai whakaaro tonu tātou ki a rātou kua ngalo i te tirohanga kanohi. Haere, haere, haere atura. Ahoi anō apiti tonu mai ki te whai iau ki te ao marama tēnā no tātou katoa. Piki mai kake mai, ho mai te wai ora ki au e tū tāki wai tāki wai tāki wai ora e. Ka whakawhitia te awa, ka piko piko i hiti, ka whakakoia te nai hi ka maroro i te rangi. Tēnei kora mai a koutou, ko tau mai tēnei rā, piki mai kake mai, kai mahu e tētahi ki waho. Hala mai, hala mai, hala mai. Hala mai, kōrero hia mai ngā kaupapa whakahira-hira, tēnei kaupapa ko te wai. Nā wai te wai, ko te mea nui, ko te wai, he taonga, kaua mā tātou engari heoranga mō tātou tamariki moko puna. Nō reira, kia mihia, kia kōrero hia, kia ata wānanga hia, hei oranga mō rātou. Hoi anō, kai a koe te rangatira, kia koutou whakaeke mai, piri mai, kia kore kukumea ke te kakau o tēnei paipa, ko paupau ngā kōrero, tēnā koutou, kia ora tātou katoa kahu.
Tēnā koe kati are re ra.
Tēnā koe kati are re ra. Pure hure huana i rungare. Oku koe komo. He wara tūnei e te taha kura whakari kārawa mai. Nohi ahi. Te kōtoko manawa e no mahi haia. O turu ti ai. Hei!
Hapiti hono tātai hono ko rātou kia rātou te hunga mate kia rātou. Hapiti hono tātai hono ko tātou te hunga ora kia tātou tēnā no tātou katoa kahuri. Kia ora.
Te Mauri says some beautiful words of welcome to you all, and especially to our executive who are up on stage here representing us. Welcome to here to Te Arawa, and acknowledging Ngāti Whakaue, the original owners of the land in which we are all here present. He acknowledged the importance of the conference that you have, the taonga, wai, water is so important. And he also acknowledged our manukura, our mayor, Stevie Chadwick, who is up on stage here with us, with our tribe from Ngāti Rangi Wewahi. And if I may say something very important to some members of the tribe that are here today, is that the beautiful taonga wai, so important to us, and fondly we remember our local council returning Taniwha Springs back to the tribe. But thank you, Te Mauri, for that warm welcome to everybody. My pleasure now to ask our President Brent Manning from the Taranaki area to respond on your behalf, in which will be followed by a waiata led by Frankie Stevens.
E nā mana, e nā reo, e rau rangatira mā. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Koutou nā uri o te aroa waka. Kei te mehe, kei te mehe, kei te mehe. Ko Brent Manning aho. Ahakoa no Ingarangi o ko tupuna. E whānau mai ahau I kirikiri roa. I nā nei kei nā motu e noho ana ahau. Kei raro I te maru o Taranaki Maunga, tata ki te awa o Waifakaiho. Taku mahi hi kaipu kaha ahau. Katu ahau I te taha o te ropu katiaki ina wai o Aotearoa, ara ko WaterNZ. E awhina ana te ropu ne I nā toputanga, kia te aki te wai me te taio e te nuku o Aotearoa. Nā kua mutu taku mihi I tēnei wā, no reira, te mihi nui, te mihi mahana, te mihi maiaha. Kia koutou katoa.
O kare kare ana, nau wai Rotorua, iti atu koe hine, marino ana e hine, o ki maera,
You're allowed to clap. We're in Te Arawa, you're allowed to clap. Especially a song that's about our beautiful Lake Rotorua and the history of Hinemoa and Tūtanakai. Thank you, Brent, and thank you, Frankie. And now, ko koe, Shay. Te koha.
Me horo te tū kei puhi a te kopaki nei e te hau. Oina e mihi ana kia koutou. Te rangatira I tū nei ki te mihi I roto I tō tātou reo ka meha meha ki hei I huri ki te reo Pāke he mihi ana ki a koe. Ki a koe e arahi nei tō kapa, e arahi nei tō tira ki tēnei hui o tātou. Ko te mana ko ia ka puta he hua, ko te mana ko ia ka tau te rangi maari ana hoki ki runga I tēnei kaupapa o tira ki runga I a tātou katoa e hui nei. Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou.
Kia ora. Our young warrior, Shay, just thanked you, Brent, and for the koha, but he also acknowledged the beautiful speech that you've made in Māori, as well as bringing us all together and talking about the way. So tēnō pai. And now to close the official speeches in the Powhiri, I call on one of our young leaders from Ngāti Rangi Wewehi, Rāni Era, to close the speeches on this part.
Ati hei mauri ora. Hoi anō ko tāku he tautoko I ngā mihi, kua mihi ake a koutou. Kua tae mai nei, raro I te kaupapa o te rā. Hoi anō kia koe te rangatira. E tika ana kia mihi a koe, mōu I wawāhi I tō kōrero ki te reo tiketike, ki te reo taketake, arā ko te reo Māori tērā, no reira tēnei au ka mihi ake. O tira, kia koutou katoa, kua tae mai, raro I te kaupapa. Nau mai, e tika ana te kōrero a taku hoa, ko te manako ia, e hau maru ana te noho, e ha nea nea ana te noho I raro te kaupapa I kawea mai ai, e koutou ki tēnei o Ngārohe o Rotorua. Koe anō, ko te kairangi o aku mihi ki a koe, Stevie. Tēnei o mihi atu ana ki a koe, mōu, I te kupu, whakairi matamata, mata ua, ke eke ai tō tātou iwi a te aroa, tō tātou rohe nei a te aroa, ki te kara matamata. Kua tīpaka hia koe, hei puhi ariki mo tō tātou waka o te aroa, no reira kua kōrero hia te iwi, ko koe tērā, he puhiari ki o te wako te ara o no reira tēnei e mihi ana. O tira ki a tātou katoa, kua tau nei, tēnā tātou, kia ora.
Thank you, Rāniera. And he's also given the opportunity, he also wished you well in your conference here. The formal speech is finishing on Te Arawa side. Also a personal acknowledgement to our Mayor, Honourable Stevie Chadwick. And this gives her the opportunity now to come forward to kōrero to you. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor of Rotorua, Honourable Stevie Chadwick.
A tēnā tātou katoa na mihi nui kia koutou, and welcome everybody here this morning. And I'm sure the flanks will swell throughout your conference, but it's lovely that you were here for this official welcome this morning. And it's great to be welcoming the delegates and those that have put this conference together back to our beautiful city of Rotorua. This is a major conference. I'm sure you felt that a lot of the messages in the official welcome were about the value of water and the significance of water, which is becoming much more of a nationwide conversation for us all. So I welcome all those organisations participating today, because we're all going to need innovative solutions to water issues that we face together going forward. Thank you, Trevor. Trevor Maxwell isn't just a councillor on our district council, he is the cultural ambassador. So we're the only city in New Zealand that has a cultural ambassador, and it's lovely to have Trevor back beside me as a mayor-elect at this stage to walk together on our journey into the future. And thank you, Ngāti Rangawewahi, this morning for the Powhiri. And I'm going to mention a little bit of a story linked to Rangawewahi later in my address. But it's very significant for me to have them beside me today on my first sort of official conference since being re-elected. Brent, that cloak stood and sat perfectly on your shoulders. And when we heard your mihi, we on this side understood. And thank you. And from Taranaki, we understand the issues that that rohi are going through about trying to find a way of working together in partnership. And I'll mention that a little bit later. But thank you for your term as president. And also, Dekesa, I really am thrilled to acknowledge you as the president-elect, and I know that comes at the end of the conference, but boy, it's nice for me to see another woman stepping into governance. So well done to Water New Zealand to see her skills and expertise and to use that in shaping the journey going forward. To our local delegates, our international visitors and our conference keynote speakers, Paul, whom I met last night, Paul Bowen, your opening the keynote speaker, and the President of Water Environment Federation, and Coca-Cola Director of Sustainability. And welcome here, Paul. And we had a chance to talk a little bit about our local scene in New Zealand last night. And the sustainability journey for us is incredibly important because we're the first city in New Zealand, another first, to sign the UN Global Cities Sustainable Charter. So we are on a journey here and have put our money where our mouth is in joining up as a signatory to the UN Global Cities Charter. So other cities take that message back and join that journey, because it is where water is going to be so intrinsically linked. Jonathan McEwen, your keynote speaker from the Australian Water Association, welcome to Jonathan, and Graham Hawke from the Deputy Director of the Environment and Research Bureau of Meteorology in Australia. And a message from Graham for you to take back. I remember when we started our lakes journey, and we were having lakes that were becoming, they were tipping environmentally, and we were very worried in 1999. And we invited Barry Carbon over from the Ministry for the Environment in Australia, and a classic Aussie. He stood there on the shores of Lake Rotorua with me and he said, "You can fix anything." He's an engineer. "You can fix anything, but there's not one quick fix. There's a mix of solutions that you're going to need to fix these tipping lakes, and it isn't going to happen in the next 3 years." And we're well realising now that this is a journey, but we love to have that link with Australia and Australian expertise. And later on, you're being joined by Malcolm Alexander, who's our Chief Executive of Local Government New Zealand. He's probably very distracted at the moment, working out how he's going to work with a bunch of new mayors around the country and new chairs. But in Rotorua, we're very aware that innovation will be key to overcoming many of the challenges facing our council, and this is particularly true for water. Rotorua's fortunes have changed dramatically over the last 2 years, and those of you that have come back after previously visiting our city will see it palpably in the city centre because we've invested very heavily. We went through 10 years of population decline and no economic growth over a decade, and we saw a net migration loss over those years. In the last 2 years, we've had net migration gain of 1,000 people, and our GDP growth has been consistently higher than the national average for the last 2 years. So we're very proud of our journey of recovery. Tourism here, we make no bones about it, has taken off, and our local operators are scrambling to upgrade and extend their facilities to meet the growth in demand. And we could put in an application to the Prime Minister's Infrastructure Fund to upgrade toilets and ablution blocks, and we'd take the whole 12.4 million for Rotorua if only we could, but that's available nationally. So we're all going to need more support from central government for access to infrastructure for those critical facilities. For our water solutions team at Council, this expansion in people and the local economy means that we have to plan for infrastructure expansion for the growth that's starting to happen in our Lake Rotorua caldera and basin. We've also had to maintain and improve our water quality. We've got a fascinating network of 18 lakes here. And we do this, and you felt it this morning, through the partnership with the Te Arawa Lakes program, which began in 2002 with 72 million of Crown funding that has now grown to a 243 million investment project and program of action to improve our lakes' water quality. And we work, there's 3 legs to the stool with Rotorua Te Arawa Lakes Trust, the Rotorua Lakes Council, the Bay of Plenty Regional Council, and the Ministry for Environment. And if you cannot collaborate, you won't go forward. And that was key to our success then. A particular focus of the program is reducing the long-term input of nitrogen and phosphorus into the lakes from all sources, including pastoral, geothermal, and urban. We're embarking now on 2 major wastewater projects over the next 3 years. The first is a 29 million upgrade of the Rotorua wastewater treatment plant that will involve, and we talked about it this morning with the engineer that set it up, the disestablishment of the existing 430 hectare land treatment system in the Whakariwariwa forest, and the addition of membrane filtration and ultraviolet light disinfection to provide a 2-stage barrier to pathogens and enhance the already high level of nutrient removal. So out of the forest by 2019 has forced us to work collectively to look at, as a working party, on the upgrade of our wastewater treatment plant. The second major project is a 32 million wastewater reticulation and treatment scheme for Rotoiti and Lake Rotorua, so 2 lakes that desperately need reticulation. And for those communities, which will provide sewage removal and treatment for 700 households which would otherwise discharge into septic tanks in the catchment in those lakes. And I have to say here, we could not have achieved it and made it affordable. That is the last subsidy from the Crown and also extra funding from Regional Council, or it simply wouldn't have been affordable for us to do. Also on the radar, because you've got a network of all these lakes that are linked, are the possible future wastewater schemes for the communities of Tarawera, Lake Rotorua and Mamaku. These projects have involved a particularly high level of community engagement, which is ongoing. Council is also a partner in TREX, an innovative process to thermally deconstruct wastewater biosolids and produce useful byproducts. Council and Scion have partnered to develop a pilot plant at the Rotorua wastewater treatment plant, and Council is now working towards approval for a full-scale plant to process all biosolids. This will then provide very high quality discharge streams for both liquid and solid waste from the system. Key to these projects, fundamental to them, is the relationship with local iwi, who are the kaitiaki of our lakes and forests. Innovation for our Rotorua community is acknowledging that to get anywhere, Council must work in a very real partnership with our local iwi Te Arawa. Real partnership in Rotorua is having Te Arawa represented at the Council table. The Te Tato or Te Arawa board has been in place, and it was a controversial journey and it was a difficult issue for me in the election, but it has been in place since December 2015 and is our conduit to Te Arawa's decision making. And it was very important for me to see Te Māori here standing up to acknowledge you this morning, because he is our youth, he hates being called youth, but he's our youngest member on Te Tato or Te Arawa. And so he is walking with us on this journey, and Te Māori is on some leadership training that other councils are involved in the Tuia program. So these things have to be real, and the days of tokenism are over. And that is a very important message for other councils around the table. The partnership has opened minds and channels of communication, and this has been particularly important as our community grapples with our water-related challenges. Now, I want to mention today that one hapu, Ngāti Rangawewahi, represented here today, has signed a contract with Council for access to water for the next 25 years. This was following a bitter process involving the Environment Court and a subsequent treaty settlement. And now with this new relationship, new opportunities are occurring, and they're occurring at a very, very rapid rate for us in Council. Once again, I'd like to welcome you all to our unique and wonderful city. The issues that you are discussing are crucial to us all. Local government in particular needs your ideas, your innovation, and John, we're not opposed to CCOs, don't worry about it. We've just got to find that place. And the issue for a lot of us as mayors is subsidiarity. So local decisions about access to water must be made within that local community. And our access to water granted by Ngāti Rangawewahi is a case in kind that we don't believe would have happened with a CCO. So we've got to look at how we can get that subsidiarity right. We need your innovation, we need your ideas, we totally value your expertise, and we will be the beneficiaries for your national conference. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Tēnei mata.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand again for Ngāti Rangi Wewehi Cultural Group. And ngā wahine, as the wahines leave to go back to their village. And we'll leave the boys on stage who will provide the hongi for our executive guests that are here. This will complete the ceremony now, the hongi, and also after that, Tereda and Frankie will take over from us. But to you all, on behalf of the local Te Arawa people here involved in the Powhiri, we'd like to thank you very much for allowing us a small part in your conference. Wish you all the best for the rest of the conference. Kia ora koutou katoa.
There we go. Kia ora te reira, taku ingoa ko Ngāti Pākehā aho. My waterway, that wonderful river of 100 chiefs on every corner of Taniwha, the Waikato, wonderfully described by one of the first Europeans to travel it, Friedrich Hochstetter, as a majestic stream. It's a lovely little bit of Austrian understatement. He then went on to say it could be rivaled only by the mighty rivers of Europe, the Danube and the Rhine. It flows past and quite often over my family property at Ohuniwai. We're nestled between that river and the other major body of water that we have in our past, Lake Waikari. Familiar, I suspect, to many of you, is that wonderful North Waikato lake that occasionally changes colour. Not enough, however, to kill the koi carp. And we sit nestled at the very bottom of the Whangamarino wetland, this incredible 7,000 hectares of swamp and bog. Those are the waterways that have influenced me, that have brought me in many ways here today. And I would challenge you over the next few days to think back to those waterways that were the ones that shaped your lives, those rivers, the lakes, the swamps, for many of you, those wonderful coastal areas. And think in many ways when you're introducing yourselves to others, think about introducing yourselves via that background of those original water bodies that shaped you. A very warm thank you to Mayor Steve Chadwick for her welcome and congratulations on her re-election. To Trevor Maxwell and Ngāti Ranga Wewehi, thank you again for their very warm welcome to, I think, what is one of the jewels of the country, and of course them in Te Arawa, world famous for the warmth of their welcome to this beautiful part of the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me now great pleasure to welcome for his keynote address, Brent Manning. He'll be familiar with, obviously, all of you as the President of Water New Zealand. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, Brent Manning.
Thank you, Tereda, and hopefully you know a little bit more about me now if you were reading the words or maybe following my mihi. I'd also, although she's left, I'll take the chance to have the right to reply and belatedly congratulate Mayor Stevie Chadwick on her re-election and echo her words. It truly is great to be back here in Rotorua. And had I the further opportunity, I would have pointed out to her that we're doing our bit for regional tourism too, with many of you here visiting from overseas, and to boot, we had two international guests in our committee on stage. So thanks again in acknowledging Paul Bowen as immediate past president, Water Environment Federation, and also Francois Gao as president-elect of the Australian Water Association. All right, I think I'm on a time limit, but I do want to cover some important points with you all. So again, just acknowledge mana whenua. That's the local people from the Te Arawa tribe, our Mayor, Stevie Chadwick, Keynote speakers, some of whom I've mentioned, Paul Bowen, Graham Hawke from the Deputy Director of Bureau of Meteorology, and also tomorrow morning our keynote is our own Raveen Jadaram, who's the Chief Executive of Watercare. Again, Francois Gow and Jonathan McEwen is the CEO, both here visiting from the Australian Water Association. I haven't seen him in the audience yet, but I'm hoping that somewhere out there is President of IPWA, Peter Higgs. I certainly see past President Neil Cook there. I'd like to acknowledge President of Water Industry Operators Group, Mike Moynihan, who's here with us. Later on, as you heard, Chief Executive of Local Government New Zealand, Malcolm Alexander, will be here. And I'd like to also acknowledge, having met some of the people last night, our young water professionals who were here and dined with me last night. So thank you again. That was my pleasure, and it's great to see many of you here. So guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I take this opportunity now to welcome you all to this, your 58th annual conference. What have we been up to as a board? Well, we've been busy, and that's just a small list on screen of some of the projects and other activities that we've been engaged in. I'm going to talk about two in particular. One of those is the one that's dear to my heart. It's a great cause in my view. It's the one in which Water New Zealand's been a sponsor for a number of years. But this year, as a board, we decided to put our money where our mouth is and participate. So your board team in the Oxfam Water Challenge this year came a credible fourth of 13 teams. The main aim, of course, is to raise funds and awareness around water-stressed communities, and the cause this year was one for a water sanitation project in Papua New Guinea. The picture you see on screen is actually the fundraiser we opted for, which involves cycling, walking and running the whole of the Waikato River Trail in one day, and we did that. So in my view, that was an excellent form of team building. It's certainly a great way for our board to gel outside of our normal environs, and it certainly took us outside of our comfort zones. So my thanks again to all involved, and as I said, I'm hoping that will continue to support that cause in that way. On to other things. As a board, in the boardroom, we spent a lot of effort this year, along with John Fallett, our Chief Executive, and our staff, setting a new vision and direction. And you may be able to read it from where you are, but the top of the appropriately graphicked water droplet talks about a self-determining future. And we have a strong focus, the intention is to have a strong focus on providing greater technical resource and guidance for our members. That's you. To enable our water people to be better informed, to in turn inform and educate your communities, and take a position of leadership. So the graphics are very nice. It is a nice graphic. I hope you agree. But now the real hard work of delivery on it starts. And in fact, we've already started. One example is you have been seeing weekly through the Pipeline magazine and regular e-updates, the publication of e-guidance notes for water managers, which has been produced by our own staff out of Wellington, particularly topical in the aftermath of events in Havelock North. So that's just one example, but there are many more. So we are resourcing, our intention is to resource this vision and strategic plan to make it happen, so it's not just a pretty plan on a page. This comes at some cost, and the implications of increased service usually do. So I strongly advise you to come to our AGM, which this year is returning to the Thursday late afternoon slot, I think 5 p.m. tomorrow evening, if you want to have your views heard. There will be a motion to be discussed there around the further resourcing for your organisation. If we're serious about making this happen, then I encourage you to be there. Changing topic, and it brings me to something I'll call the elephant in the room. National drinking water standards. I, for one, have been bemused about statements saying that the drinking water standards aren't mandatory. Yet, when I read the purpose of the Health Act, some of that highlighted in red, you may not be able to read it, but the key provisions of section 69A there are highlighted in red. From the drinking water amendments dating back to 2008, all repeat the syntax that it is a duty of drinking water suppliers to take all practicable steps to comply. Now, while all practicable steps in some cases may be open to interpretation, certainly the requirement for drinking water suppliers to have approved risk management plans in place and to implement them is not. The compliance situation which led to Havelock North's contamination is a moot point for now, as it is subject, in my view, as it should be, to a national inquiry. However, it does now afford us as water people to have a nationwide discussion on the place and relevance of the drinking water standards and our community expectations about compliance by drinking water suppliers. Clearly, we need to talk. There will be a panel discussion on the Friday morning of our conference, which to me sounds like an ideal opportunity to further that conversation. It's only as a result of such dialogue that we can truly claim to be exemplars promoting a pathway to excellence for our water sector and communities. So in closing my part, I'd like to welcome you on the path to excellence here in Rotorua for the next 3 days. Enjoy your stay. If you're a first-time visitor, there are many local attractions and sites and experiences outside of the immediate environs as well. So make the most of your conference and the networking opportunities, but do take the opportunity to have a look around this wonderful area. For those with a keen sense of smell, you can't help but notice some of the environment. And again, thanks to Rotorua City and District and Te Arawa as our hosts. I'd like also to thank all of our participants, keynote speakers, presenters, exhibitors and sponsors. Do take the opportunity to call next door, our expo area. Do discuss your needs with the suppliers and service providers and make the most of your time here. Thank you.